Oprah interviewed Lance Armstrong for 2.5 hours, and she's planning on airing it on the OWN network starting Thursday. And during the interview, she says that Lance Armstrong came clean about doping. He did admit to doping, and now people are kind of buzzing as to why he would admit to it, especially after he was denying it 1,000,000 times prior to this interview. So there are a couple of different things that people are speculating about. First thing is that he wants to decrease some of the bans against him. So basically, instead of being banned from doing triathlons, maybe they would do some sort of suspension so he wouldn't be able to participate for a little while, but he could come back and start to compete again.
This is super weird. First of all, he's a jerk for denying the thing so forcefully and going after his accusers. I think that's the thing that really gets under a lot of people's skin, how aggressive he was in saying the accusers were totally wrong and had these agendas and they were all mean-spirited people, etc. The list goes on and on. And this joker, he got so many people to believe his side. The whole time I'm screaming, of course he cheated, of course he cheated. They're not going to, it's not a conspiracy against him that the entire cycling organization is going to invent a 200-page report full of what, lies and misrepresentations. No way, of course he cheated, right? But about 50% of the people would always say, no, you don't know that, and he's a good guy, and he had cancer. And it's like as if a person who has cancer would never lie, right? And so I feel a little redemption here. But what's going to happen, it's not going to count, because every single person today will say, I never believed Lance Armstrong all along. Mm-hmm. Even though at least half the people totally believed him, today immediately gets wiped out. Go ahead, ask anybody, and they'll say, oh, I never believed him.
Jake, if it makes you feel better, I believe that you were one of the few people that didn't believe his claims that he didn't.
Get out of here.
Okay, do you feel better about that?
No, and I'm not one of the few, and it's not like a bold prediction or anything. and so why is he doing this, to your point, Anna? I don't know, man. The guy is, is a huge liar. And look, and I don't even begrudge him. Look, it sounds like I don't like him, and I got a lot of issues with him. They're almost all doping in bicycling, and so, and he beat them when they were all out doping too. So I think he probably should retain his titles. You'd have to prove to me that one of those guys wasn't doping, right? So I don't begrudge him any of that. It's just. When he says there's something fishy here, and he's been lying for so long, that coming back not to do cycling, but to kind of do semi-pro triathlons, that can't be the reason.
I have a few problems with this story. First of all, I'm willing to believe that he wants to compete again. And the reason why I say that is because he's still relatively young. He's in his 40s, right? He's not like some old guy who wants to retire and call it a day. I mean, think about it. It's his identity.
What are you going to do? You're going to win the triathlon in your 40s?
He might. Who knows?
Without doping?
He wants a chance to go back and compete, and I don't blame him for wanting to do that, because you're not taking into account. I'm not buying a single thing he says. You're not taking into account that that's what his identity is. On the TV show I made this example, and I'm going to bring it up again. Imagine, Cenk, that TYT Network got a new CEO, and they decided, you know what, we're tired of Cenk. He misreported something, so we're going to get rid of him, right? And then there's this big news organization that says, okay, Cenk is banned from all news. He can't do any news ever again. What are you going to do with yourself? You're young. You're in your 40s, right? This is what you know. This is what you do. It's what your identity is.
No, but I didn't set up this giant lie and say to the whole world over and over again that I'm right. And then I turn around and admit that I've been a just enormous liar, professional liar for all this time, professional cheater. And I'm going to admit that for what? So that he can run a triathlon? I mean, I can go, in your example, I can go do a news show in my basement.
Because look, whether he admits to it or not, he was banned, right? So admitting to it and apologizing for it and trying to make up for it might lift that ban and allow him to compete again. I kind of believe him when it comes to that.
No, look.
Because what other incentive does he have?
No, and it's totally okay to say, hey, listen, I just feel bad. I feel horrible about it. And I don't know if I believe that either, but that's more plausible to me, that he had a guilty conscience and he just wanted to get it off his chest. But I feel like there's some sort of agenda that and I don't know what it is, but like he's trying to, I guess he's trying to get back in people's good graces. He figures if he apologizes, that 3 years from now they'll all forget and forgive, and he'll get redemption. And maybe he thinks he'll get immediate redemption because he's a celebrity, and that's what happens.
Yeah,
right?
He definitely does want redemption. There's no question about that. But there are a few other things that bother me about this story. He is now saying that he's willing to testify against people in cycling and basically throw people under the bus. Talk about who's doping, who isn't doping, all of that.
He's a bad guy,
I'm not in favor. I think that that's so wrong. Don't throw people under the bus like that. Yes, I know that there are other people that are doping. It's wrong to do that. But at the same time, don't be like Mr. Whistleblower now that you got caught.
No, I'm not buying your whistleblowing at all, because this is the guy who was the most vicious against other whistleblowers who were telling the truth.
Exactly.
Right? So now you're going to turn around and all the guys you called rats before, you're going to do the same thing they did just because now you have to admit that you also doped? No. Look, he did great things on cancer. He did, and you can't take that away from him. And what he accomplished there in getting people to contribute, etc., is more important than any of the cycling, any of the doping. So bless his heart for that. And you don't just say he's a bad guy, period. Don't get me wrong, okay? But on all this stuff regarding doping, etc., I don't believe a word he says. I think he's the bad guy. I'm not interested in giving him redemption. And I'm not interested in this apology tour and the teary interview with Oprah. I think it's a lot of BS.
One more thing that bothered me about this story. Did you know that the U.S. Postal Service was one of his sponsors and they gave him $30 million? Really? That is unacceptable. I'm sorry. I don't want my tax dollars going to any athlete, okay? And I want my tax dollars to go to a particular service that is supposed to, you know, help individuals, whatever. The U.S. Postal Service is in a world of trouble right now because of their cuts and everything. So $30 million for an athlete, that's crazy.
No, again, I was saying that back when he was actually cycling. And every time I saw the Postal Service on his shirt, it drove me crazy. With the competition with FedEx and UPS, they're advertising the post office so more people use it. But that's ridiculous. Nobody's going to look at Lance Armstrong and think, boy, I should send this postcard with the UPS. I should send it with the post office. Okay, so it was always a giant waste of money. And now there might be lawsuits. And now people are saying, because Lance Armstrong constantly lied on the record, that he might also face criminal penalties as well.